You know, chemicals are the building blocks of America's modern economy. Everything around us in this hearing room, for example, including our clothes, our cell phones, our transportation to get here, all of this is largely made possible because of innovations in the chemical sector. Friends, chemicals, all sorts of chemicals, quite literally make modern life possible. Now, I don't take issue with the EPA taking the necessary steps to reduce risk or to regulate responsibly, because we need that. But the scope, timing, and breadth of EPA's recent activities gives me pause, especially when the Biden administration constantly claims to have a robust industrial policy. On the one hand, we see the EPA, the Commerce Department, the White House touting the new next-generation semiconductor facilities, the battery plants, electric vehicles. These shiny new finished products will be made in America, they say. But at the same time, they pull the permits, slow the approvals, and bring their own regulatory hammer down on all the chemicals. And I'm talking about the plastics and the critical materials in the supply chain that are needed for the finished products they continuously brag about, that they want. We need our chemical regulatory framework to make sense. The dots need to be connected. To give an example, EPA is working through more than a dozen simultaneous actions that will directly and negatively impact the chemical manufacturing sector. In April 2023 alone, the EPA proposed new source performance standards and national emission standards for the synthetic organic chemical manufacturing industry that condensed 6 unique rulemakings into one proposal. An advance notice of proposed rulemaking to solicit public input on designated PFAS chemicals as hazardous substances under CERCLA, and national emission standards for ethylene oxide, or ETO, emissions that would severely threaten patient safety and disrupt our nation's healthcare system. On ETO specifically, Chair Rogers and Subcommittee Chair Guthrie joined me in a letter to the Biden administration raising questions about the impact of EPA's proposal on the availability of sterile medical devices and on patient care. ETO is used to sterilize half of all the medical devices and 95% of surgical kits in the United States. I hope that my colleagues on both sides of the aisle with medical backgrounds share my concerns with the potential adverse health impacts of EPA's proposal. On top of medical applications, because chemicals are required to manufacture the vast majority of everyday products, the impact of these rulemakings across the supply chain is staggering. Additionally, EPA's actions contradict its stated desire to follow the best available science. In a recent review of EPA's Integrated Risk Information System, or IRIS, on that work on formaldehyde, the National Academies of Sciences, Engineering, and Medicine emphasized that EPA did not follow specific recommendations for problem formulation and protocol development. Despite questions around the validity of IRIS's values, the EPA surprisingly continues to use IRIS assessments in all rulemakings. EPA's actions have also been unpredictable because the agency has failed to meet statutory deadlines under the Toxic Substances Control Act, or TSCA. TSCA Section 5 requires EPA to make a risk determination about a new chemical or a new use of an existing chemical within 90 days, or 180 days if the agency needs an extension. However, the Government Accountability Office indicated that 90% of new chemical applications did not receive a decision from the EPA within the extended 180 days. How are companies supposed to innovate if EPA cannot make a decision in a timely manner? EPA's seeming lack of objectivity in regulating chemical manufacturing, whether for operating permits or risk determinations and management, highlights the need for congressional engagement and the importance of our hearing today. And I look forward to hearing from our witnesses about the practical, real-life impacts of EPA's regulatory regime in the chemical sector and the consequences for manufacturing across the board. The federal government should wield its authority to foster innovation, not stifle progress across industries. We all want clean air, clean water, and clean products, but there must be a consideration of the balances of regulating critical, life-saving chemical building blocks to the point that we are dependent on even more critical materials from overseas, especially from countries like China. With that, I yield back, and the chair now recognizes the ranking member, Mr. Tonko from New York, for his opening statement.